Hey Lori, I'm just sending out some invites to get more people in here. Hey Vegan Wild Thing. What's up, Ozell? Yeah, definitely Ozell. Yeah, you can request up, Jimmy. We can talk about it. Well, you can come up another time then. Well, Jimmy, that would mean you're pro dogfighting. What's up, Ben? Thank you for sharing the live. Sounds good, Ben. Yo, Jimmy, can I get your age?
49.
Okay, cool. What do you do for work, by the way?
I'm a general manager of a store.
Oh, nice. Is your day going well at work?
It is.
Nice. Good to hear it. So did you want to talk about one of the prompts?
Um, like I said, I got no problem with circuses and aquariums. I've been to the Atlanta Aquarium a few times. I think it's really cool. I got no problem with testing on animals. I think it's a valuable resource for us. I'm not really into dog fighting. I don't think I would want to see it. But I do understand some cultures, do it.
Do you have like an argument for any of these things? Or like
Um, I,
reasons?
I enjoy circuses. I enjoy aquariums. So that would be my argument for that. Um, I think animals are, again, I think they're a great tool for, especially for medical testing. Cosmetics, maybe not as much cosmetic, but definitely medical testing. And then, um, the quarterback, what's his name? That got caught for dogfighting years back. I know he talked about his culture growing up. It was a big part of his culture.
Yeah, so if somebody like gets a lot of enjoyment from graping dogs, do you think that's morally permissible?
From graping dogs,
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, no, I don't. I don't think that's permissible. Now, I love to deer hunt. I've gotten 4 deer so far this year. I'm
Yeah,
sure you
well, the
you probably don't
same.
like that either.
Well, I'm just trying to point out something here because you're saying the reason why it's okay to support things like this is because you get enjoyment from it, right?
That's my argument. That yes, I get enjoyment from circuses and I get enjoyment from aquariums.
Right. So if somebody wanted to grape a non-human animal and they just say, hey, like they get a lot of enjoyment from it, do you think that's morally permissible?
Well, I mean, well, for one thing, it's unlawful.
Yeah, that,
So,
well, can you answer my question?
I mean, on my morals, no, but I'm not going to speak for other people.
Well, what makes that wrong even if somebody gets a lot of enjoyment from it?
I think it's gross. I can't imagine graping a dog.
So, what makes it wrong even if somebody gets a lot of enjoyment from it? Because somebody who gets a lot of enjoyment from it, they won't care whether or not you think it's gross. They're just going to be like, "Oh, I like doing it," right?
You would have to ask them. I have no idea.
Yeah, but if they use your same reasoning for why it's okay to support circuses and testing on animals when it's unnecessary, right? Then what would make it wrong if they're using your same reasoning?
Again, you would have to ask them. Everybody has to decide what's right and wrong
No,
on their
no,
own.
no, no, no. Like you are the one who says it's wrong, right?
To me, yeah, I mean, for me personally, I have no desire to grape a dog. Who
Yeah.
would?
Well, is it morally wrong?
It depends on someone's morals.
I'm asking you.
It's not for me. It's not something I would want to do.
That's just not answering the question.
I don't know what to tell you.
Do you know what the question was?
Do I think it's morally? Do I think it's morally wrong to grape a dog? And because I think circuses are fun, then you leap to the fact I'm
Wait,
also saying that I think
let's
it's okay
just
for someone to grape a dog.
let's just start with the first question.
Yeah, you make these giant leaps.
Wait,
It's
Jimmy,
crazy.
Jimmy, I'm trying to be
No,
real patient with you. Okay.
no.
I was actually like being really nice, like I asked how your day at work was.
Yeah, me too.
You know. I'm trying to be like pretty cordial right now.
Sweet.
So let's just try to like answer one question at a time. Like, is it wrong to sexually violate any non-human animal?
Um, like I don't think it's wrong to inseminate cows and horses.
Is it wrong to do it for your personal sexual pleasure?
It's not something I would want to do.
You realize how that doesn't really answer the question?
I can only answer for me.
Well, I'm asking like a very direct question, and you're answering a question that nobody's asking. You know what I mean?
I'm not going to say what's right and wrong for other people.
I'm asking you.
I've told you a bunch of times. I think, yeah, I have no desire, to grape a dog.
But is it morally wrong?
I guess it just depends on your morals.
Yeah, based on your morals, is it morally wrong? That's like the third time I've asked that, I think.
All right, I'll play your game. Yes, it's morally wrong to grape a dog.
Okay, what makes it morally wrong?
I mean, it's bestiality. I don't think humans should lay with animals.
We can agree that it's descriptively called bestiality. Now, what makes bestiality wrong?
I don't know.
You don't know what's wrong with violating non-human animals for sexual pleasure?
Dude, I said it's wrong. I said humans shouldn't lay with animals. I said it's bestiality. What I mean,
Yeah. So we're
what more
investigating. So this
what
is the
more
part.
answers do you want?
Well, now we want to investigate the reasons. Does that make sense?
I don't need to investigate the reason.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do. Does that
I'm
make
kind of
sense?
I'm kind of a black and white kind of guy.
So, do you have any reasons for why it's morally wrong?
Do I have any more? I mean, for one, it's illegal.
Say it was legal. Is it morally good then?
I'm not going to play that game because, dude, it would never be legal to bestiality. That's silly.
Just hypothetically speaking, if it
Let,
was
let,
legal,
let's stay in reality,
yeah.
okay? Because next you're going to be talking about Martians again. Let's stick with
So
reality.
let's say that it was legal somewhere. Do you think that it's morally good at that point?
Again, it just depends on your morals.
Yeah, Jimmy, I'm asking you.
It's legal to hunt deer, but you think it's wrong morally. I don't.
So, can you answer my question now?
I guess for me, it's morally wrong.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the reasons why.
Just
Or
because just because I don't think animals I don't think humans should grape animals.
yeah,
It's
but
not
what's the reason
it's
for
not
that?
because they're sentient or any of that crap. I just think that it's wrong.
Yeah, but presumably when people make a normative claim about actions, um, for those normative claims to be action guiding, people want to give arguments for why they should or shouldn't accept those claims. Does that make sense? Like if I said it's morally good to enslave a certain race of people, I would have to provide pretty strong reasons for other people to start accepting something like that, right?
I'm not trying to convince you of how I think.
Do you understand what I just said?
Yeah,
So, okay. So
but I don't.
if there was something morally wrong happening and somebody was making the claim that it's permissible, do you think they would have to give good reasons for that?
I guess if they're into debate, and they feel super strong about it, and they feel a need to convince other people. Yeah, but if it's just a belief that they have, I don't think you have to justify every belief that you have.
Okay, you just can't justify any of your beliefs.
I mean, do I have to justify all my beliefs? Can you
Well, I'm trying to have like a discussion about like
you
ethics,
justify? I mean,
morality.
dude, you are in you are in a 2% minority. Only 2% of the world believes what you believe,
I don't know why that matters.
and yet you think you're so superior that 98% of the world is wrong and you're right.
Jimmy, I'm not acting like superior. I'm not like talking down to you or anything. I'm like trying to reason with you. I'm trying to work with you.
I think it's arrogant to be in a 2% minority and think the rest of the world's wrong.
Okay, like you realize that like slavery abolitionists were like a minority at one point. Do you think
Not
that
two
they were
percent.
do you think
Not
they
two.
were arrogant because they
Not
were the
2%.
minority? It doesn't matter what the actual percentage was. If they were the minority, you're saying that they would be arrogant to speak out against the injustice, right?
I mean, I can't even think of another pretty big topic that only 2% believe.
Okay, Jimmy, I'm trying to engage with you. Can you understand that?
Well, you're trying to back me into a corner is what you're trying to do.
I'm just trying to figure out if you have any reasons for
At,
any of the
at
beliefs
least
you hold.
at least be honest that you're trying to back me into a corner.
Dude, I haven't. No, I'm literally not. I'm just trying to understand your reasons. You haven't given any reasons yet. You've just made claims, cited your beliefs. I can understand that people hold those beliefs. I just want to know why. That's not a corner. That's me trying to, in good faith, investigate why you have these beliefs.
I mean, I've answered several times. You said, "Why do I like circuses? Because they're fun. Why do I like aquariums? I love going to see the whale sharks in Atlanta."
Yeah, and you don't like, and you're against graping dogs, but you don't have a reason for that, right?
I think it is wrong to. I think it's wrong to grape anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's a dog, a human, anything.
What's the reason for that?
It's a terrible injustice on on graping anybody.
What makes it a terrible injustice?
You're forcing your smexual will on somebody else that doesn't want you to.
Okay, so you're violating their consent. Is that a reason?
I'm cool with that.
Okay. Would you say that animals' consent are being violated when they're forced into places where they're like being forced to being tested on, being
No,
forced to like,
no,
no?
I think it's impossible to exploit animals.
I, yeah, that just doesn't make any sense because do you know what exploitation is?
Well, when I think of exploit, I think you can exploit people
Do you know what exploitation is?
unnecessarily doing harm.
No, no, that's not really like I just take exploitation to be um, using or taking advantage of another individual to benefit yourself at the expense of them.
I'm cool with that. I like that.
Okay, so we could agree that if somebody was sexually violating any individual, whether it be human or non human, they would be exploiting them, right?
No.
Okay, what was the definition of exploitation?
Well, like I said, I have you would say inseminating
Wait,
cows and
Jimmy,
horses
wait, hold
falls into
on.
that
Wait,
category. I would not.
Jimmy, what was my definition of exploitation?
Not backing me into a corner, buddy.
Wait, we just agreed on the definition that I gave, no?
I mean, let's be honest. This all comes down to
Wait,
one
Jimmy,
simple.
hold on. Now you're not answering my question. Could you please answer that?
This all comes down to I think there's a difference.
No, Jimmy, you need wait. Like let's just like engage with each other. I'm trying to work with you here.
I'm trying to work with you. You all let me talk.
You didn't answer my question. So, is um, well, let's try to remember what happened in the dialect. What was my definition of exploitation?
Say it again.
Taking advantage of another individual to benefit yourself at the expense of them.
Okay.
And you agreed with that, right?
As long as we're talking about people, yes.
So, when we sexually violate a non-human animal, we're, taking advantage of them for our sexual benefit at their expense. Do you see how that lines up with the definition of exploitation?
It's not always for sexual purposes, though.
That wasn't my question.
Okay, but I'm just saying your definition was what you just said was wrong.
I don't know how definitions can be wrong, but do you understand how that action lines up with the definition that I gave?
Your definition is, when I agree with it, is for people, not for animals.
Do you see, like, okay, Jimmy, I need you to like focus here.
You're not tracking.
Jimmy, I'm being so linear with you.
You're
Do you
not
see
tracking.
how? What do you think I'm not tracking?
You just honestly don't think there's any difference between humans and animals.
That wasn't even part of the dialectic. How would I have not tracked that if it's not even part of the dialectic?
Because everything you're saying, you are putting the exact same value on humans and animals.
No, it's just not true.
It is
So, no, it's not. So
100% true.
let's. I'm I'm getting tempted to move on, Jimmy. Like, I'll give you
Yeah,
one more chance to like.
you're not tracking. You're struggling bad.
Okay. So, are we clear on the definition of exploitation?
As it pertains to humans, yes.
Okay. So when a human sexually violates a non-human animal, they take advantage of them at the expense of the non-human animal, right? And they're getting sexual benefit, right? Does that does that line up with the definition of exploitation I gave?
If they're getting sexual benefit, I would say yes.
Okay, so non-human animals can be exploited.
That's okay. Okay, that's fine. Yes.
Okay, yeah. See, now we're like on some common ground because earlier
We
you said that they can't be exploited. Now you're agreeing with me that they can be exploited, right?
okay. That's fine.
Okay, cool. So, what makes that type of exploitation wrong?
We've already talked about that.
Yeah, I just want to try to remember it because I kind of forgot. Like
I
your
think
reason.
I think it's wrong to grape anybody. But again,
Yeah, but what's the reason?
there are some things that you're going to consider grape that I'm not.
Jimmy, just focus for a second.
You're falling behind, man. You need to drink some coffee.
So, what makes graping non human animals wrong?
We talked about this for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I just want to remember your answer.
It's morally wrong.
Yep, that's the claim. I want to know the reason why.
Oh, because we are doing something sexual to them against their will without their consent.
Without their consent. Okay, cool.
But of course, we
So,
know animals can't give consent.
mm-hmm.
So when we're talking about consent, we only can be talking about humans.
No, well, so like
Animals
if a
animals
human,
don't have the ability to give consent.
do
They're
you
animals.
think, do you think a child, like an infant, has the ability to give consent?
There's no way in the world that I'm going to compare an animal to a child.
I wasn't doing that. I'm just asking a separate question now.
Yeah, that is a silly question that doesn't even
Jimmy, it's
warrant
not
me answering.
silly. Like, do
Of
you
course
think
it is.
do you
You're not
think do you
comparing.
think infants have the ability to give consent?
I am not going to sit here and answer a question comparing.
Oh my god. It's just like so tiring with you, Jimmy. Like, I'm just getting nauseated at this point. I don't know. I think I might have spoken to Jimmy before, but that was probably the most productive we've had a conversation. Um, obviously, can we get your age?
Uh, I'm way over 18.
Okay, cool. Did you want to talk about one of the backgrounds? Are you a vegan, by the way?
Yeah, I am vegan. Why? So, yeah, so I'm assuming like these are more of the more easy vegan questions, right? I can't even imagine anyone would be pro any of dog fighting. That is a bitch, though. I did go to the Philippines and they were pro cockfighting and pro dog fighting. I even remember going to a dinner and calling the people there savages, barbarians. I called them barbarians. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, I don't think anyone would be pro any of this stuff, right?
I mean, did you hear The last guest I was speaking to?
No, I just got in. Sorry
Oh,
about.
you're good. Yeah, I mean, he was pro all three of these things.
Where does he live? Out of curiosity.
I don't know. I don't really want to know.
What kind of sociopath is pro dogfighting? Pro. I mean, look, I can kind of get aquariums to be fair. Like, if it's a certain type of aquarium that does preservation work, um, yeah, okay, it's used for marine biologists to study certain creatures. Maybe then I could give it a pass. But I don't think any of these, like animal testing especially, like I can't imagine anyone would be pro animal testing. Like the shit you see from that is horrific.
Yeah, I mean, if it was like for the aquariums thing, like, yeah, if they're like rescuing injured animals and like rehabilitating them, then I don't have an issue with that. But if they're like profiting off of them, that's probably where I would disagree with the actions. What do you think?
Yep. No, the thing is, I'm honestly shocked that there's any like yeah, absolutely, like absolutely. As long as it has some overarching benefit to animals, and it's the lesser of two evils. Like I know I went to Spain and there was this aquarium that we went to, and my girlfriend took me there, and I told, hey, I'm vegan, I can't go here, and she said, yeah, don't worry, I researched it. They work with marine biologists. They have the aquarium because they need money to support their research, but it's all going toward it's going for a large part towards saving reefs and studying animals, etc., etc. And so I was a little bit yeah, with that one I was a little bit, it was a gray area for me, but I can agree with it. But people that are pro dog fighting, that is crazy. Like I feel like those people should be put in a ring and forced to fight to the death.
Well, I'm kind of curious about the aquariums thing. Like, if they're like getting money from exploiting those animals, like, uh, and then they like put it towards like rebuilding reefs or something like that. I think it's kind of like strange because it's like, okay, the reefs are being destroyed at a rate that's faster than we can restore them in the first place. So overall, that money is kind of meaningless in that sense,
Yeah, I don't
unless
think
they're
they're doing reefs.
directly. Sorry.
I'm not sure if they're actually doing reefs. I think I read what I know mainly what they do is they work with marine biologists, and it's a way for them to fund studying those animals because it's on on the Spanish coast. So it's specifically regarding a lot of um, Spanish species. For what I understood, but to be fair, yeah, it might also be a marketing term. Like that's the thing. I didn't research it myself. She told me that she did that, and she said like uh, they they have a net positive for animals. They use it to study animals. They use the money to fund certain universities or something like that. But you are right; it is exploitation. Like there are dolphin shows, and that is 100% exploitation. You can't get over that. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
the part where they're swimming in aquariums, that one is also a bit like confusing because on the one hand they say they want to kind of protect some of the animals because they're endangered or they're at risk, but yeah, then that's kind of like yeah, is caging them the right way to protect them instead of just like targeting off a certain section of ocean where no one is allowed to be at.
Yeah. Okay, then yeah, we probably agree for the most part. What was I gonna ask? Oh, how long have you been vegan?
4 years now. I'm also an activist. And most this account is mainly for activism. Uh,
Nice.
Thank you. So yeah, I also like to meet other activists, especially globally. It kind of shows that we're growing, and I feel like within the vegan community, there has been or there continues to be quite a lot of infighting, uh, which I personally hate because Are you American?
Yeah.
You know that expression, "a house divided amongst itself"?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about with like the infighting and shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's really annoying.
it is, and it's very difficult to because I've met vegans, and I've spoken to them, and to me, for me, all vegans are comrades, in my opinion, right? Because we're all fighting the same war, we're all trying to get to the same goal, and then to see some of them hate each other and saying, oh, they're actually hurting the cause or something like that. It's silly, like. Um, we're spending so much time bickering amongst each other while we could be coming up with tactics to actually improve what we do. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna try bringing up this guest. You're welcome to stay on
yeah,
and help me talk to some people if you want.
I would love to. If that's all right with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Hello.
Hi, can we get your age?
I'm 27.
Okay, cool. Did you want to talk about one of the prompts?
Um, I I think I'm pretty anti-dog fighting because isn't that just two dogs like starved and vicious towards one another, and then they just battle it out for other people to bet money?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that doesn't really make that doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Well, do you have like any reasons for why you believe that?
I mean, it's just unnecessary. Because, like, we have casinos and slot machines and stuff like that. Like, why do you have to have animals fighting? Like, what would be the point other than the blood and the horror and stuff like that? Like, like if the whole point is to make a bet, because I think that's the kind of the end all be all with dog fighting. People make bets on these animals. Just go to a casino. Go make a bet there. Learn how to play cards.
Yeah, definitely. Are you a vegan, by the way?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Well, I'm not trying to like corner you or anything, but
Babe, ask whatever you need to know. I'm okay.
okay, cool. So like if it was unnecessary for us to farm animals for food, like we can get all of our vitamins, nutrients, and minerals from plant-based foods, would you say that we probably shouldn't be using them for food and clothing and other stuff like that?
Yes and no. Only reason being is because like there is a circle of life. We have a food chain. We have all these things. Everybody every being, not just humans, but all animals. Because personally, for me, I consider us all animals. I don't think we're above them. I don't think they're below us. We're all animals. So at a certain point, overpopulation does happen for a certain species. Like how right now we're the overpopulation. If more people were in the woods and stuff, there'd be less humans and stuff because they would be out there fighting with the actual animals.
Okay, so when we're talking about like domesticated animals, um, their populations are only big because we're like mass breeding them. You know what I mean?
I mean, I understand that 100%. I'm just saying, like, let's say we would have just left the world alone the way it was and we weren't doing that. Everybody's numbers would have eventually just started going up and down anyway. Like we would have people still would have hunted, but animals would have still been killing people as well. So the numbers would have evened out, is what I'm saying. Like it's not a requirement. Do I think we're over farming? Do I think we're, making a bunch of animals and stuff like that just because of profits and whatnot? Yes. But there are plenty of herbivores, and omnivores and all that, regardless, some species need meat. We're kind of one of those species that some people require the vitamins in meat to have those nutrients. Some people have to have a high calorie diet. Some people have to have more protein than others, and whatnot because of their genetic makeup. Sometimes that just happens. So I don't think it's horrible that we eat meat. Sometimes I think it's horrible the way we are gathering this meat. I think it's unnecessary a lot of the time.
Yeah, so yeah, that's kind of the point I was going to try to tie it back to. Like, if it's unnecessary for us to farm these animals, do you think, like,
Over farming, not just period.
well, if it's not even necessary, like, at a base level, not just over farming, like,
I
if it's not
mean, most
necessary,
doctors and pediatricians would kind of disagree. Unless your body required you to cut back on all of those things, they're not going to tell you to stop eating them.
There's no
Well, yeah,
medical
they're.
condition.
Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
There's no known medical condition that makes veganism.
Is this entire conversation about being a vegan?
Well, let me.
Because
So can I ask you because what you said about dogs, right? Just sorry, this is going to be a little bit off topic, but I'm going to get. So there's a woman right now. She's famous in the news. She didn't like dogs getting onto her property, so she would leave out pieces of hot dog, and with a hook inside the hot dog, so that when the dogs ate it, the dogs would die. Like, how do you feel about that?
was she protecting something on her property?
She was not. She was just. She was.
Then
She
that's
was,
weird.
yeah, but how do you feel about it on a personal level?
As I said, unless she is protecting something on her property, I
Yes.
find it unnecessary. She could have trapped them or did whatever it is that she wants to. Or honestly, I think the hook in the mouth thing is just a little egregious. Like if
These
you're
are
gonna
harmless
trap them
dogs.
and kill, if you're gonna kill them, then you might as well just go ahead and sit on your porch with a shotgun.
Yeah, these were people's pets, by the way. These
Well,
were
why are
not.
those pets outside,
Yeah,
like
people
wandering the
comment about
neighborhood
that.
for
The
them to
people,
get in her yard? Because that's my
people did,
question now. Because if these are
people
people's
did make a
pets,
comment about that. People did say like it is people's responsibility to keep your pet on a leash, and
yeah, I
then
was talking about wild animals. If we're talking about people's pets, then those are those pet owners' fault. They're 100% at fault.
wait, but you don't think the woman is at fault for putting hot dogs and
It's
hook?
her. I think it's egregious for doing the hot dog hook thing. As I
Yeah.
said before, it's unnecessary. She should have, if she was going to do that based on just killing them, she should have just sat on her porch, waited for them to come, and handle business like that. Unnecessary is putting a hook in a hot dog. That
Do you
is
think it
unnecessary.
would be necessary to? Okay, but what if it was a child coming onto her property and she just shoot the child
I
down?
would throw rocks at a fucking kid. Get off my property.
But would you kill that kid?
I mean,
If it was
if
legal,
it's 2 o'clock in the morning and they're jumping over my fence, yes, that kid can get shot.
we're talking about kids, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, completely innocent.
Baby, why is your loose child on
Okay.
my property?
We
But
can.
you'd be
We can.
morally
We can.
unsure.
We
I've
can.
already
Hold on.
stated that
Hold
I
on.
do not see us more or less than
Hold on.
animals.
Hold on. Hold on. Yeah. Wait. Hold on.
I've already stated
We.
this.
Yeah. Okay. We are in agreement that humans are animals as well. We're in agreement there.
So you're saying, oh, what if it was a
Wait.
5-year-old kid? Okay, if
Hold
it's
on.
2:30 in the
Wait.
morning and I hear
We can.
rustling and
We
my
can.
gun goes
Wait.
off and
Hold
that kid
on.
gets shot, that kid's
Hold
getting
on.
shot.
Okay. We. Yeah. We
Like,
can. We
I
can
don't know
put
what
that.
y'all
We
want me to
can.
say.
We can put that point to the side for a second, and we can just focus on whether or not it's necessary. And you
Do I think
agree.
it's necessary to do that? No.
Hold
But do
on.
they have the right
Hold
to? And do
on.
they have the right to
Hold
defend their
on.
property and do whatever they need to in
Please hold
their
on.
little area? Yeah, sure.
Please hold on. So, if you agree that if it's unnecessary, then we probably shouldn't be doing it. Like when it comes to exploiting animals for like entertainment, like dogfighting, things like that, then wouldn't you also agree that if it's unnecessary for us to get all of our nutrients, vitamins,
I just want to
minerals?
already answer that question.
Well, I'm trying to come back to it because I wasn't very clear on your answer.
If as a people that we did not require all of those things,
Mm-hmm.
then yes. If as a people we did not require
Yeah.
hunting and farming and all that other stuff, sure, I can agree with that. But we
Yeah.
do.
Well,
There
there's
are people
actually
who do have
there's well,
deficiencies and stuff like that, and they do need to eat a certain type
wait,
of way.
hold on. We can, okay, so there is a large body of scientific evidence that suggests that you can survive and thrive on a plant-based diet. Majority of people can do this. Okay.
Majority, not all.
Yeah, I'm
So
not
the
saying
people who
I'm not saying
cannot
all.
require meat.
Yeah.
So that's my point. You can't sit there and act like, oh, well, let's do this for all of the nation. And then those people who cannot survive like that, then they die.
Not
That's
saying
not
that.
fair.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
But that's not fair. Like, if we
Well,
could not, and that
hold
was an
on.
all of universal
Okay.
thing, sure.
I'm gonna have to mute you because, like, just like relax a little bit, okay? Because I'm trying to have like a very calm conversation right now. So there is like a large body of scientific evidence that suggests we can survive and thrive on a plant-based diet. I can
To know if this conversation is purely about veganism, because I came up here about dog fighting and all the other comments you had up here. I didn't come up here to discuss pure veganism. That's not why I came up here.
Well, dogfighting ties into veganism because
Well, again, if your post
Wait, so
said
hold
that,
on,
I would
hold
have
on,
not come up here.
Hold on. You're like over talking a lot. And I'm
But
trying to
then
have a
you're not
really
even on the topic.
respectful.
You're talking about veganism.
I'm trying to have a really respectful conversation. Yeah, there's no issue with me having prompts like this and then tying it back to veganism. There's no issue there. So vegans in general are against the exploitation of animals, the unnecessary exploitation of animals, as far as practicably possible. Okay, so dogfighting would be seen as an unnecessary exploitation of animals. Therefore, vegans would be against it. Does that make sense? You're muted, by the way.
Okay.
Does that
I'm
make
not a
sense?
vegan.
Yeah, but I know. I'm just.
So
like,
I'm confused about
does
the
my
point of that statement. I'm not a
does,
vegan.
well, does the explanation I just gave for why vegans would be against dogfighting?
Okay, but I'm not a vegan, so why are you telling me what vegans are against?
I'm just trying to make sure we're both on the same page before.
I understand that
Okay.
I'm not a vegan, so don't care what they're against. That's your opinion. That's great.
Well,
I respect it.
That's well. Not only is it their opinion, that's your opinion, right?
No, I specifically said dogfighting. I just find it
Hold
unnecessary.
on. That's
Because if you
right.
want to make money on a bet, go to a casino.
Right.
That's my
So you-
stance.
So you agree with the vegans there that we ought not do dogfighting, right?
Most humans on a regular level can state that they would much rather see somebody go to a casino than watch dogs fight. And that has nothing to do with being a vegan.
So okay, but you agree with the point.
Yes, I agree with the vegans on that point.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to highlight. And vegans would agree with you that if it's unnecessary, we probably shouldn't be doing that form of entertainment. And then we can just take this logic and apply it to other realms.
But I'm not going to because I enjoy meat.
Yeah, I mean,
I enjoy eating fish.
you
I
should
enjoy
try to-
eating meat. I'm not
Well,
going to
here-
use that logic and take it
try
to
to-
anything else.
try to think.
That's
about
not
it.
what I came up here for.
Try to think about it this way. Like in the case of dogfighting, why it's wrong might be like we're violating the dog's consent. The dog doesn't want to be there.
No, it's just weird and unnecessary.
Well,
Because you're violating the dog's right by
hold
keeping
on.
it in the house.
Now you're interrupting again. So we agree. We could probably agree that that's like a form of abuse. That's a form of cruelty, right? That violates the dog's consent. Would you agree with those things?
Let you keep going.
I just don't like being interrupted. That's all. And I do like to have like a linear back and forth.
I mean, I would, but I am not a vegan, and
Yeah.
I am not here to continuously discuss veganism.
Okay, no
What
one's
you do
forcing
with
you-
your health is what
Listen,
you do with your
oh my
health, and I
God.
am okay with that, and I respect it. But what
Okay.
you're doing is trying to
Oh my
take these.
gosh. If you don't want to be here, you
Can't
can
even finish
leave.
my sentence, but you want to have a conversation.
Listen, if you're that upset about me talking
I'm
about
not
veganism,
upset, but I'm not gonna do that. Like, if you
listen, okay, yeah, if you don't want
want
to
to go
be
to the
here,
next point, let's do that.
oh my gosh.
But I'm not a vegan, so
Okay,
Do
you're
you think
not
it's
getting it.
cool?
Sorry, I had to drop her. She's just like getting too riled up now.
I mean, like, it's so strange. Like, the moment she realized that this was about veganism, like, all her defenses went up.
Yeah,
Like, because the point you were trying to make was obvious towards, like, all humans have a sense of what is cruel and not cruel, and the vast majority of humans would be against it. But even that was unbroachable because
I'd like to mention that the fact that dogfighting.
it was not your turn to speak. Go ahead and finish. Obvious.
no, that was basically it's like I saw this. You were trying to make the connection between that all humans have a sense of cruelty, and you wanted to say like, and do you feel the same way as we do in this point? But all the defenses were up.
Yeah. Sometimes it's kind of hard to have the conversation, but it's no worries. You can come back another time. I'll just say Le or whatever. MR, can we get your age?
Yes, you can. I am 19.
Cool. Did you want to talk about one of the prompts?
Yes, I did, and also your previous conversation. I'd like to mention that dogfighting is not only illegal, but far more people are against dog fighting than are against eating meat, due to the fact that dog fighting is unnecessarily cruel, and you could say that the raising of animals in non-factory farming conditions is normally a quick killing method through a shock stimulation to incapacitate the animal, and then a cutting of one of the major carotid arteries below the neck. So
Here,
you're
hold
not
on.
really doing the same as dog fighting. They bite each other's eyes out and then kind of slowly eat each other. It's not really cannot be compared with the quick and scientifically accelerated killing of animals for the purpose of consumption. And while I do agree with the
here,
fact that
okay, I need to cut you off because you're just rambling at this point. Do you know that we like put a whole bunch of animals in gas chambers? And like we do like a whole bunch of stuff. Like it's not just like this weird idea that you have that like we just like slit their throat and they instantly unalive. It's not really like that. Like they go through like their entire lives experiencing torture and suffering, and then they have their life taken from them very brutally and violently just for someone's taste pleasure. Does that make sense? And you'll have to come off mute.
you kind of just got angry about what I was saying, and instead of responding to what I was saying,
Wait, hold on.
instead refuted it.
Well, I'm not angry at all, but
Okay.
do you understand what I just said?
Oh, yes, I understand that there are many different ways in which animals are killed. I'm specifically referring to non-factory farming. I live in an area where there's lots of local farming. I have personally milked a cow. I'd just like to mention that.
Let's focus on factory farming for a second. Are you saying you're against that?
Yes, I'm against factory farming.
And why is that?
Because I see it as unnecessary resource-wise, and I see it as unnecessarily cruel, and I see the risk of disease transfer as is too high, and it just seems like it could be optimized in a way that would reduce all of those.
Okay, well, can we apply that same logic to using animals on smaller farms? Like if it's unnecessary for us to gain those resources from them, we have alternatives. Shouldn't we go for the alternatives just like in factory farms?
Yes, but also I feel like if you are fighting the people who are also trying to make a difference via small farming, what's stopping them from saying, oh, well, you're fighting me, I don't like you, I'm just going to go back to factory farming? I mean, you should push from the far edge instead of applying to everything. I mean, don't let great get in the way of good. You should be fighting the most evil people instead of just yelling at everyone, because that's just going to make everyone angry at you. And I find that that's a large part of the reason why the veganism movement is not really going very well in modern society.
Sure. Well, the overarching point is just that, like, both forms of farming are morally wrong when we have alternatives. Does that make sense?
So your viewpoint is the death of other animals is morally wrong if caused by us.
Well, the unnecessary exploitation of sentient beings.
What do you find? What's your definition of sentience? Because there's no scientific definition of sentience, because it is at this point in science completely uncomprehendable, and it is ridiculous to attempt to comprehend the.
So here, I'll give you my definition. My definition is just going to be the ability to, or the capacity to have a subjective experience, to experience pain and pleasure, those sorts of things.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so tying that back into the definition, we're against the unnecessary exploitation of beings that can feel pain and pleasure, that have the capacity for subjective experience. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
All
So
right.
tying that back in again to when it comes to like small farms and factory farms, if it's unnecessary in both cases, then we would just say, like as vegans, we would just say, hey, like that there's a sentient being there who's having a subjective experience and we don't really need to exploit them. We have alternatives, so we should choose those alternatives.
We may have alternatives, but also look at the amount of infrastructure and money that goes in and out of the farming. I mean, you could not currently just say, "Hey, everyone, stop farming," or the economy would collapse.
Well,
And
what
when
if
farming, I speak specifically about the raising of animals.
what if something like dogfighting was like really good for the economy? Would you be making the same point?
Well, what I'm saying is that while it's bad, it's not something that you can immediately remove. And the
Well,
issue.
can you answer my question real quick?
Okay, so if dog fighting was really good for the economy, you're saying that if it was America's pastime and it was the most important sport in the world, yes, I would still be against it because it is cruel and unnecessary. Probably one of the cruelest ways of dying is being eaten by an animal. As someone who
Right.
personally has lost a large amount of mass on their left leg in a fight with an animal.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it's important to note here that just because it's like it stimulates the economy or like a lot of people are doing it, I don't think that's necessarily a good reason for us to keep doing it if we have alternatives. Would you agree?
I wouldn't say it's a reason to keep doing it, but I'd say it's something that you can't immediately cut off. Like during the housing crisis in the early 2000s, it's widely speculated that drug money was the only thing that kept the economy afloat.
Well,
But
I'm not saying like we cut it off like straight up. I'm just saying like people should make individual choices. Like that's all that I'm trying to do by having these conversations. Like people should, if they have access to alternatives, they should just
all right.
individually choose to uh, partake in those alternatives. Does that make sense?
Yes, I understand your viewpoint. What I'm saying is that I do not think that the personal choices of a small amount of people make any real or major effect on the fact that these animals are being exploited. Like in
Oh well, there's actually evidence that suggests it does make a difference. So like a certain percentage of animals, like a very small percentage, obviously, but still a percentage of animals will not be unalived because people aren't paying for their exploitation. And the same thing is true. Like you can think about it on like a really small scale. If you don't demand that a dog be put in the dog ring, well, that's an opportunity for them to have like a life elsewhere. Basically, does that make sense?
I completely understand your point. I'm just trying to say that if you go to a Harris Teeter, the amount of meat that they bring in is going to be sold out by before it expires, pretty much every time.
Yeah,
And
but
I don't
that's
think
kind of
if you
besides
look
the
at
point, though.
infrastructure that currently exists and the amount of demand that currently exists for it, this is not something that's going to stop existing in the next 100, 200 years, even with the
Yeah. Okay. So we can agree there that it might not stop very soon, but that's kind of
100%.
besides the point because we're trying to say that individuals, like shouldn't uh, contribute to it, even if it isn't going to stop in the next however many years, right?
So well, the thing is here, I just find it unlikely that I find that while people do have personal opinions on the eating of animals, even when done in what I would consider the most ethical and humane way, which is raising an animal in an environment that would be natural to its own. It gets all of the health care it needs. It is raised happily to a it's raised in a good environment that mimics its natural environment, or at least it would have had before it was. You get what I mean.
Well, domesticated animals don't really
Domesticated
have,
animals don't have a natural environment. You
right.
get what I mean.
Yeah, so if we're just talking about like domesticated animals, like we probably agree that if you just can give them a good life and not exploit them and not unalive them prematurely, not take advantage of them, then we should be doing that. Do we kind of agree?
Yes, I believe that without the premature death and without the horrible conditions they are put in, I believe that it is ethical to consume meat.
Well, not well. You don't. Well, I was trying to pick out a point. Like, if it's completely unnecessary for us to use them in any way, wouldn't you agree that we probably shouldn't do that?
Okay, so do you think that they should go extinct? Do we just kind of stop farming them altogether? That's your point? Do you want...
Well, we should definitely stop breeding them into existence, but whether or not like they go extinct, I could kind of be agnostic on the topic. Like I've heard some arguments for their extinction, and I'm kind of sympathetic to the views, but I haven't heard the arguments against extinction of those animals. So I would probably need to look into that a little bit more.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, B12, babe, but I personally am an economist and I do know how supply and demand works. But I just think that from a biology standpoint, we can... Oh, wow, thank you. Very, very nice. From a biology standpoint, we don't fully understand the... Okay. Yes, if we lower the amount of people who are purchasing a product, there's going to be less of...
There's going to be less demand.
There's going to be less demand, and therefore the stores that would purchase the product to stock it on their shelves
there'll be less supply.
And they would not until they notice a trend in which the... And they would not until they notice a trend in which the vast majority of, or a higher percentage than normal of their meat products expire before being sold off the shelves. And for that to happen, based on the current percentage that expire already because of the amount of food we waste in the United States, like 40% of the population would have to stop eating meat entirely before there was any sort of major difference in the...
25%. There was a study done on this.
25%. Thank you. And I don't see that's what I was looking for. And I don't see that 25% stopping the eating of meat in the next 80 years.
It would collapse the meat industry. If 25% of the whatever population would go vegan, because the meat industry is heavily subsidized and it's extremely expensive and extremely wasteful because massive amounts of land, especially water and especially land.
I'd say food mass is more important because it takes 10 pounds of edible grain to make 1 pound of beef.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's actually just surprising to me that you're so familiar with these numbers and you're not vegan, because once you look at the numbers behind animal agriculture, right? It's staggering how much resources we waste simply to get like a steak. And that's just from a rational, cold point of view. It doesn't make any sense.
Well,
and I know
that's my point of view. I have.
And I know vegans like to approach it from an emotional point of view. And here's the thing: I'm from Holland. I'm talking from the Netherlands, right? We have a lot of small farms. The thing is, although yes, factory farms are crueler, the small farms apply in a lot of cases, it's similar practices. Because let's take Jersey, right? In England, they have
Yes.
they have the Jersey milk, right? And I actually interviewed one of the owners, and she has one of the what they call one of the most humane dairies in the world. Because they said once their milking cows cannot produce enough milk anymore, they put them out to pasture. They don't kill them. They literally put them out, and they get to live out their lives, even though it costs them a lot of money. But then
Yeah.
when I asked her, so what do you do with the males, the young males that are born, right? Because to
They
me,
kill them.
they kill them within 1 year, and of
Which
course,
makes no sense. So why are they spending the resources on keeping the adult dairy cows alive while
Marketing.
still killing the young males?
Marketing.
I'd say it's just for the publicity.
Absolutely.
Because, yes, 100%.
It's PR, and they love to say that. And even though they say it's costing them a lot of money, what it's doing is that it's making them a
They
national
make up
treasure.
more than that money with the publicity they get on their farm.
And the subsidies.
Yes, and subsidies from the government. Personally, I see dairy as a large source of waste in the economy. You know that the United States government bails out hundreds of millions of dollars worth of product from the dairy industry every year. They buy dairy farmers when they cannot sell their product would go out of business and lose their livelihood. So they lobbied the government, and the government buys in bulk from dairy farmers in order to keep their farms up. Well, what do with that hundreds of millions of dollars worth of dairy product? They, for some reason, turn it into cheese and put it in giant warehouses until it gets moldy, and then they throw it out.
Yeah, the bunkers. I actually saw that. They've been doing that since the 60s. And there were
Yes, I
entire
personally
military bunkers.
visited a cheese bunker.
Yeah, and it's insane. Like from a rational point of view, it makes absolutely no sense that this industry exists, and I think
Yes.
it exists mainly on the backs of tradition and people being unwilling to change. But it's killing the economy. I think it was 580 billion in yearly subsidies. The problem is I don't know if that's just for the U.S. or if that's global, but if you imagine how much good you could do with that amount of money, I think it's from the U.S. 580 billion or something, or million, an immense amount of money that could otherwise be spent on improving.
Yes, on social welfare products.
Absolutely.
Really quickly, not surprised, I'd like to make a critique. The animals that are raised these days that have been domesticated would not be able to get enough food for themselves in the wild and would die before reaching a maturity to allow them to breed because they have much higher metabolisms and they need to eat a lot more, but that allows them to gain more weight more rapidly.
They would not survive in the wild.
They would not survive in the wild
This is
under
also
any
not a natural
circumstance.
habitat.
I think that while I do not advocate for the 100% eradication of the meat industry or the dairy industry, I think that they could easily shrink by 80 to 90% and only exist as instead of a main point of nutrition for the vast majority of the world. Instead, they could exist as simply luxury products. And with the amount of money and subsidies put towards these and such a smaller amount of things being farmed, there could be newer ways developed to make it a more ethical system. Because I personally don't think the entire eradication of what would be a vast amount of our diet for hundreds of thousands of years. I mean, even prior to hominids and at least ancestors of modern humans, we've been omnivores for hundreds of thousands of years. I mean, you don't see if you look in zoos where they look after certain species that you could say were similar, they still feed chimpanzees and certain apes. They still feed them a diet that consists partially of meat. And I would see to it that while it would shrink by a large, I would wish that it would shrink by a large percentage. I still think it would be necessary to do more research into the amount of to do more research into what is completely necessary for the human diet. Because I personally don't believe we have a high enough understanding of the function of all systems within the human body. We only kind of have a basic understanding. I mean, you can't even point out every necessary bacteria within the digestive system.
So what I find, you seem to have like a lot of empathy, because like I do a lot of, I talk to hundreds of people about this, right? This is something I'm very passionate about, and you seem to have two things which a lot of people lack. Well, not well, the first thing they don't lack, but they block themselves off from it, which is empathy. Because otherwise you wouldn't give a damn about whether or not the animals are killed quickly or slowly, or we make them fight in rings, and you have the intelligence to understand how irrational the meat industry is. But what would be keeping you from going vegan?
Personally, the diet that I consume, I only eat things. I don't eat any sort of processed foods, but I do consume a certain amount of meat. I hunt an elk yearly. And I believe that it is necessary not only to my diet, but I also find that with the amount of work I do, I should be able to eat something that I enjoy. I'm a big chef. What's stopping me from going vegan is probably the current lack of infrastructure in the United States. I mean, you can't expect me to survive on chickpeas. I know that there's a lot of people who are very good people who are willing to put forward this front, but I'm not really. I mean, I'm a decently empathetic person, but the majority of the reasons why I know all of these statistics is that. Sorry, the comments are just really funny. The majority of the reason why I know all these things is I just like to stay. Sorry, 1 second.
I think a lot of the comments, vegans are freedom fighters. We are trying to fight for the liberation of animals, and we have seen things that a lot of people have not. We've seen things that a lot of people block themselves off from, like what the host was talking about, right? Pigs in gas chambers. Once you've heard that sound, it never leaves your head. It sounds like humans, like young humans screaming.
I know. I've seen.
And once you've seen that, once you've known that, you start asking yourself questions. Like I don't know where you live, and I don't know what you have access to, right? And I live in Amsterdam. I have access to everything, so I speak from a place of privilege, which is unfortunate. But I also know, for instance, Gary Yarovsky, and Gary Yarovsky's from the US as well, and he went vegan in the 90s, because the moment that enters you, you start wondering, like, is it worth it? Yes, am I gonna have to learn how to make good tasting vegan food so I don't feel like I'm missing any pleasure in my life? Yes, that will take time. Am I going to have to learn how to become vegan? Yes, that's going to take some time. And you start wondering, but is that time and that effort, is it not worth those pigs not being in that chamber, not having to hear that screaming, not having to hear a mother cow scream for its calf for 3 days? So those are the type of questions and this is not, there's no judgment here, but I'm trying to explain to you how vegans look at this. We have seen terrible things, and we've taken it into our hearts.
Yeah. I thank you for being so incredibly diplomatic on this subject. It's very helpful in the understanding of this. I personally have I'm a very busy person. I have a lot to do. I'm very stressed all the time to an extreme amount, and I find that cooking is one of the only things that bring me joy, and also that it would take a lot in order to swap over to a diet that I find is not documented enough for me to put my full trust in it scientifically.
I'm a businessman. I own multiple companies, so I understand that stress. Like I usually work.
Oh yes, yeah.
No, sorry, 18 hours and sometimes 23-hour days, to a point that I'm actually like I've recognized where my burnout limit is. But if I can give you now a bunch of resources, I'm gonna put it in the
Yeah,
comment.
but if you look at like personally, I am owned by a company essentially. I work for one of the largest banks in the world, and it is necessary for me to be reachable at all times. I just have a lot going on, and I just don't see it as something that I would pursue in the next period of time. Mostly because I see a futility in me. I don't personally believe statistically that me going vegan will save a single pig and or cow.
There is actually proof that that veganism has made a huge impact in the world. Meat consumption has been going down in the UK. New animal welfare laws have been enacted because of vegans. In Holland, we have parties that are it's called the Partij voor de Dieren, which is just an animal rights party, and it has now it's one of the largest parties in the government. And their goal is eventually, okay, they cannot say we want to shut down all meat industry, or they would politically suicide themselves. But vegans do make a difference, and the fact is, every singular vegan makes a difference, whether you believe it now or not. Because I can only show you that if you become vegan and if you try it. And here's the thing: I gave you a resource. I know you said you're never going to try it, but there's something on it that's called Challenge 22. It's a 22-day vegan challenge, just do it as a challenge to yourself to see if you can do it. And after those 22 days, see how you feel about it. Like, see if you have a different outlook on the world. Because I had the same stuff, and I'm a vegan activist right now. I had the same view you had. I remember when I first went vegan, I used to tell my friends, oh, I'm just doing this because I don't like meat, or because, and I would tell them animals don't mean anything to me. But then because I was too ashamed to tell them that I'm vegan. But the moment you start doing it for like a month, something in your brain just like snaps, and it's like a veil is lifted off. And that's why, well, I mean, sometimes it takes longer, but 22 days is a pretty good challenge. And that's why we have this. And that link I sent you, it has a lot of stuff on it, and it's all for free. It's all completely for free. Just to help you on your way. It can also help you get access to resources close to you about veganism. It has access to dietitians and nutritionalists that are completely for free. Normally they're like 60 euros an hour, but here it's completely for free.
Yeah, I know. I personally have a dietitian.
Exactly. And here we're just offering it to people for nothing, because that's how much we believe in this movement.
This is something that I'd have to consider for a large period of time. But the main reason I joined is because I have a lot of the same statistical knowledge on a lot of these things. Yet I do not believe in the complete abolishment of the maybe the meat industry, but I am a big cheese person. I mean, what's the point in wasting my time making all this money if I can't buy fine cheeses?
There was a cheese competition that was won by a vegan cheese in California 2 years ago. So we're making progress on that front.
Well, I mean, it would really depend on which cheese. I mean, I'm
Yeah, there's cheese alternatives for every cheese.
yeah, I mean like $80 blocks of cheese that I have imported from Europe.
Yeah, you could get like the same like quantity of cheese in the same block, just like a non-exploitive type of cheese. Does that make sense?
Well, I don't mean quantity, I mean quality. I mean, once vegan cheese gets to a point that it is unrecognizable, yes, as Lydia says, cheese is an addicting substance.
Yeah.
My views
Well,
on
that's not like like respectfully, that's not really like a good reason to keep buying it if we have alternatives. You know what I mean? Because that's still exploiting cows and their babies, right?
um
20 minutes from my house, there's a farm, and it's one of the it only serves the Michelin restaurants in Holland. It's a heritage farm, and before I went vegan, I used to go there every weekend, and I would pick up whatever cheese was in season. I was a big cheese guy. The moment I went vegan, the moment that snap happened for me, I kid you not, I have never thought of that place again. And I used to go every weekend to pick up. There was this Italian cheese that I liked. I've never thought about it once. It breaks it that this cause that once it opens your mind, it breaks all of that.
Yes, I can see that it would be some sort of epiphany that would lead you to disregard earlier thoughts or biases. Personally, I see that. I think that once. Sorry if I haven't been arguing to the best of my ability. I have not gotten my. I did not get my ADHD medication this morning, so I'm all over the place. I personally would most likely become vegan once it becomes something with more infrastructure that could be more reliably and easily sourced.
Well, it's actually very, very easily sourced and more reliable in a lot of cases because it's like there's like studies that suggest it's like on average 10 to 30% cheaper to buy plant-based foods.
Really,
Sorry?
it's not the money; it's just kind of the time of thinking about it.
Yeah,
But
I mean, but like how it starts is you just like start thinking about it for the first time, and then a new day passes, and you think about it again, and like that's everyone has to take like a first step to literally just thinking about it, and then eventually it'll start weighing on you. Like maybe I should make a change because there's unethical things happening, and we have alternatives, and that's really like it's really that simple.
Yeah, I mean, like looking in the future, I'd say 200 years from now, the farming of animals most likely will no longer exist. And that's probably going to be spearheaded by the economy, is going to be spearheaded by money because money rules everything. And at that point, I will be fine switching over. It's just I'm not the kind of person. I'm not an activist. I wouldn't see myself as the kind of person to push forward ahead of everyone. I will. I see the logic in it, and at some point we'll switch over once it's seamless, but it currently is not. I've tried pretty much every vegan cheese, every meat replication, and I've not found anything that suits my liking. Um, and I don't know. I am more on the logic and economy side than the moral side here. But I think that if more people had the logic, they would morally switch over. But I have a lot more logic than them, but a little less moral than them, I guess.
Well, I mean, hold on, because now, like you're saying, like, oh, like I'm on the economy side rather than the moral side. Well, that would
Only
just
partially.
be. Sorry?
Only partially. I'm saying that the major switch is going to be due to economy and not morality. That's when the entire world's going to eventually switch over in the next.
Yeah. I agree. Like pragmatically, how the actual transition would happen is probably like through capitalism or something. But we can also probably agree that on an individual basis that we should just make individual choices that are more ethical, right?
Yeah. That was a very strange noise. Oh, I need to go. I have a meeting at 2:15.
Okay, have a good one.
Awesome.
Check out those
Yeah.
resources and
I
come
will.
back if
Thank
you have
you
more
for sending
questions.
me.
It was nice speaking to you.
Have a nice day.
You have a great day.
Here, how do I leave this? I'm unfamiliar with this platform.
I also got to get back to work, but thank you so much for letting me talk to you and letting me talk to your host, for your guests, to your guests. It was really awesome.
Yeah, you're really good at having the conversations. Thank you for coming up. Also, what should I call you?
Oh, that's a good. Well, I usually don't give my name out because I have a lot of people that don't like the videos I make. But I can send you my real name via private message. But
It
for
doesn't have
now,
to be like a real name, like just whatever people call you on here.
obviously,
Oh, okay, cool. That works.
it was a pleasure to meet you. I'm following you now, and I really look forward to seeing your future videos and content.
Yeah, for sure. And come back anytime. Have a good one.
Thanks so much. You have a great night, great day or night or whatever it is over there.
Thanks. Sorry, I'm making a coffee real quick. Just give me like 2 minutes and I'll let up another guest. Okay, sorry. We turned on the music. Let's see if we got some guests. Hi, could I get your age?
Hello, I'm 43.
Okay, cool. Are you vegan?
Yes, I am.
Nice. How long have you been vegan?
13 years so far.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thanks. What about you?
I've been vegan for like 4 years, just about.
Congrats.
Thank you. Did you want to talk about something on the background or like something specific or what do you want to say?
No, I saw you on the chat that Jade shared, the Telegram chat, right?
I'm confused. I don't know what you're saying.
Okay, I thought your profile came up it came up on a chat that I'm in on AV going live, and this girl shared your profile, so I just joined the live basically.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, do you like to talk about veganism?
Yes, I'm an activist myself for Anonymous for the Voiceless. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I know that group.
Okay, are you an activist yourself?
Yeah, I haven't done any like direct action type of activism. I've just kind of had like conversations with people online and in person and stuff like that. But yeah.
Well, that's also good.
Yep. So yeah, do you want to help me talk to some people?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Let me bring up this person. Owl, could we get your age?
Yeah, I am 27.
Okay, cool. Did you want to talk about the background?
Sure. I mean, I got opinions on all three. Well, I got strong opinions on the first two, and the last one, I actually don't know much about, to be honest.
Yeah, okay, well, I can just clear up the mystery there. So, like, it's just, like, cosmetics, like lotion, skincare products, like, and it's completely unnecessary for us to, like, test on animals. Like, we have alternatives. We have, like, natural plant-based alternatives that we know won't, like, hurt humans when we use those products. So, we just, like, have a whole bunch of alternatives, making, like, cosmetic testing unnecessary. But does that kind of clear it up a little bit?
Oh yeah, that clears it up. So I mean, I heard that you're vegan and that you're an activist. So I feel like we're probably gonna agree on a lot of this stuff. I'm not vegan myself. However, my fiance is vegetarian, so my diet is like 95% not meat, and then on the rare occasion I will eat meat. But so the first one, I'm assuming you don't partake or enjoy dogfighting, correct?
No.
Okay, all right. So we agree on that. Okay, so that's an obvious one. The second one, animals in circus. I don't think they should be in the circus because they have a history of mistreatment and abuse. As for the aquarium, I'm split on that depending on the type of aquarium. The smaller dinky aquariums with like the smaller types of fish that I feel that can live in aquariums and have a satisfying life. I feel like that's okay. The point of contention I usually run with is places like SeaWorld. I'm actually very much against SeaWorld, mainly because the types of animals they have there usually suffer greatly, like, from depression, and they are usually animals that need to swim for, hundreds of miles. And they also get their dolphins from, the Dolphin Cove in Japan, which is notorious for the slaughter of dolphins. So when it comes to places like SeaWorld, that I'm against. Smaller, dinkier aquariums, I'm pretty much fine with. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I wonder if there, like, I haven't looked into it very much, but I wonder if there's evidence to suggest that those same negative are those same adverse effects that are happening to like the larger fish and mammals, sea mammals, also happen to like the smaller fish. Basically, like I haven't looked into it much, but I would probably make an assumption here that they probably don't experience like the best life just being in like a box their entire life. Like they would probably like a whole bunch of space and to be with their families and stuff. So, and like the other thing is like in for like SeaWorld and stuff, like they're commodifying those animals for entertainment purposes. And they're basically doing the same thing for the smaller animals, the smaller fish, right? They're just like commodifying them, exploiting them for people to like buy and sell for entertainment, basically. So I would say they're both wrong for those reasons. What do you think?
That I don't know. I guess for me, I guess it mainly goes on a few different factors. Like, for example, the question is all exploitation bad? Because if you look at, like, for example, workforce, technically workforce and labor is a type of exploitation. My boss technically is exploiting me for my work by paying me a certain amount. Doesn't mean it's technically bad. Now, I'm not going to get into a debate about dichotomy because I have a very strong opinion about that.
There's going to be a big symmetry breaker there because you're consenting, right?
True, but I guess another thing that I guess you can say is that animals cannot give consent in pretty much 99% of the time for most things. So like, for example, when you have like vegan farms, a lot of those animals did not consent to being run over by like mowers and whatnot. Now, granted, I know that vegan farms usually are a lesser, you could consider that a lesser evil. However, still, those animals did not consent to that.
Well, those animals, like, are you talking about like when we farm crops?
Yeah, like when we farm crops and whatnot, and animal, because there is animal suffering in the harvesting of crops that animals did not consent to.
Yeah,
It's kind
but
of, I guess, the same thing.
we're not directly exploiting those animals, right? Like we're trying to grow crops, and yeah, we can agree that like there is like some form of suffering that, if avoidable, we should do so. And so that's why we have things like veganic agriculture, where we don't use like industrialized heavy machinery. We don't use like pesticides. We try to promote like natural or native pollination, things like that, so that we aren't causing like unnecessary harm. But like to understand the concept a little bit better, we're also not directly exploiting those animals that are being harmed, right? Like as opposed to when we see like on factory farms and small farms where they're raising and breeding animals for the purpose of slaughtering them. That would be like a form of direct exploitation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that. Now, I guess it's like, where would you extend that to? Like, for example, do you think having like, obviously we don't use them that much now, but like messenger pigeons, was that a bad thing? Or like falconers, is that a bad thing? Maybe just pets, because pet, technically you don't need a pet, you don't need a dog, you don't need a cat, you don't need them. So in a way, they are kind of being exploited for just the pleasure of having a dog or the pleasure of having a cat. Because that, at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's just a pleasure of owning the animal.
Well then,
So is that a bad thing?
Well, yeah, if somebody is only, giving an animal a home because they want the pleasure that they get from it, then yeah, I would agree that that intention isn't really vegan. But they could probably alter their intention, or people who do have the intention to just give an animal a better life than they would have had otherwise. I think that's a good thing because then they're not suffering as much. Like if like ideally, like if you're going to give an animal a home, you want to be a guardian, a protector of them, and you want to take into account what's going to be in their best interest and those kind of things. Does that make sense?
Then I guess, yeah, that makes sense. And I guess the question, I bring that point and I bring it back to the aquarium bit, is there are some really big aquariums that I've been to that have very, very large tanks where there's a lot of space for these fairly small fish to swim and roam. And while the exploitation is there, you could also argue that being free from predators and always being constantly fed and being in a clean environment and, having veterinarians there to take after, to actually look after sick fish that wouldn't have been looked after in the wild, you could say that in technicality, they are living a better life, like how a dog technically lives a better life than a dog that lives on the street.
Yeah, I think maybe like if they're domesticated, like they wouldn't be able to survive out in the wild otherwise, then the argument holds. But if they're not domesticated, um, then and they still have the ability to survive out in the wild, like say they're not like being rehabilitated or something, then I think like we probably shouldn't be keeping them in a cage or a box or a tank, even if it is really big, because they could just go live their life out in the ocean or the pond or lake or whatever,
Yeah, so that I actually do agree with when it comes to the topic of zoos. I support mainly sanctuaries and zoos where their animals are there because they're either sick or they can't survive in the wild or they're being rehabilitated. Those are the type of places that I enjoy. Places like the Bronx Zoo, I just can't do because animals are pretty much just kept in very small, confined, bad areas where they are subject to very high stress levels. So I can kind of agree on that when it comes to like the idea of zoos. I'm actually on the East Coast. There's a really big wolf sanctuary that's right by me, and being able to kind of experience wolves in a more natural kind of habitat where they have very big areas of acres to roam and actually getting to see it, witness them kind of roam and pack, I think was a very much better experience than going to a zoo and seeing them in a small, like 100-foot by 100-foot caged area,
Yeah, I mean, if they're doing what's in the best interest of those wolves, because they wouldn't be able to survive. Like, I'm trying to understand. I make sure I'm like understanding properly. Like, are these wolves like being rehabilitated or something?
I forget why they kept them there. I would actually have to look back on that. All I remember though is when I went, they would kind of take you in, and there was pretty much these it's pretty much a few acres, like a few I want to say like close to like maybe 200 acres, and you kind of go in and you kind of view the wolves and whatnot, and they have all this land to roam where they're kind of protected. I think that's what it was. I think it's more.
Oh, sorry, you cut out.
Considering that.
You cut out a little bit there. I didn't catch all of what you said.
Oh, okay. I am not too sure. I would have to kind of look that up as to why exactly they were there. However, I do know that the sanctuary did also take in animals that were being rehabilitated and were sick. Like they did have bobcats and whatnot that were currently in the process of being rehabilitated to be released into the wild. So I'm assuming that's probably what it was, but I don't want to say for sure, just in case.
Yeah, I mean, we can just agree that, like, hypothetically, if they were doing that with the intention to help animals and rehabilitate them and, like, release them back into the wild after they're ready to go, then there's probably no issue. But if they're, like, keeping them for some, like, exploitative reason, then that would probably be wrong.
Now here's a question that I have, and I love to ask vegans this because I get a very big slew of different responses, and I'm very curious as to what yours would be. So as we've already discussed, there is a certain level of harm caused by the harvesting of crops, but as we've also said that it's more minimal than factory farming and whatnot. So would you say if you overindulge in vegan products, you're technically causing more harm because you're basically causing them have to harvest more crops than you need? So as a
Well,
vegan, you should only really consume what you need and not overindulge, correct?
well, not necessarily. Like veganism is against the unnecessary exploitation of sentient beings, so it actually doesn't make a specific comment on harm in the way that you're talking about it. Um, but yeah, I think like me personally, like so that's just to like clarify how it doesn't necessarily tie into the definition particularly, but I would agree personally that if we can use like more like non-exploitative veganic farming means, then we should do so. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Well, yeah, I meant more so because, like, someone like Vegan Gains, he's a vegan bodybuilder, and he doesn't need as much as he's consuming. He consumes a lot more vegan products than the average person, which, as you know, those products had the side effect of animals being harmed in the harvesting of those products.
But
So,
well, hold on. There's a big distinction there because he's not demanding the direct exploitation of a sentient being, right?
well, yeah, but I feel like he knows though that animals are harmed in the harvesting of these crops, yet
Well,
he still
wait,
overindulges in it.
Well, okay, well, overindulgence could be like there's probably some wiggle room for how you argue that, but
More than you need.
if we're well, yeah, like yeah, you could still argue that because if he's a bodybuilder, then that's like part of his goals. But
Get a different job. Get a different job. Don't be a bodybuilder, and less
Well-
animals will be harmed.
so veganism isn't against like harm simplicator or unalivement simplicator. We're against the direct unnecessary exploitation of sentient beings. And because he's not calling for the direct exploitation of a sentient being, he's still in alignment with veganism. And
But what about unnecessary harm? Because I hear vegans talk about that a lot. They are against the unnecessary harm of animals.
yeah, I mean that's just not my definition.
Okay. Okay. So you have a slightly different definition than what I usually hear, like vegans like on TikTok and whatnot in live kind of debate about. So okay, I mean I kind of understand now more so where you're coming from.
Yeah, and like we can also agree, like I can steel man the point you were trying to make. Like we can agree that some form of harm does happen because we need to harvest crops to feed humans, whether they're vegan or non-vegan, and we should use veganic agricultural methods. Like obviously, it's not very appealing to capitalism and right now, but like in the future, we should be moving towards those methods, and we can think about the theory. We can pinpoint it even more precisely here. So, like, it is actually necessary for us to grow crops for humanity to survive, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, if that is a necessary action that we must take, we can try to do it in the most ethical way possible. But ultimately, if there is some unavoidable harm, it's still going to be a necessary action for us to survive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that would be a relevant symmetry breaker between harvesting crops that produce some amount of unavoidable harm and directly breeding billions of animals into existence just to exploit them directly.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously we're gonna have differing opinions onto that. We are gonna agree on the factory farming aspect, though. I absolutely despise factory farming. I think it's an abhorrent practice, and it should be completely like done away with. More small scale farming, I am personally okay with. But I guess you could say that's just from societal standards and conditioning. But I also can. It's weird because as I am okay with eating meat, as I do it on occasion, again, kind of rare.
I think you might have cut out. It didn't sound like you were finished, but maybe you were. I'm not sure. Also, Tano, you're welcome to chime in
Yeah,
anytime.
well, I heard so much, to be honest. I don't know where to start from. Seriously.
That's okay.
I mean, really, I don't know. It's too much. It's too much for me. I'm an activist myself, and I do activism every week. And I would have walked right away from this person right after 2 minutes, to be honest.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, if you want to
Pretty
chime in, you're more than
hardcore,
welcome.
if you know what I mean.
Sorry.
I'm pretty hardcore, if you know what I mean, when it comes to animal exploitation. So
Yeah. I
there are
mean,
not a
yeah.
lot of excuses for me. Either you respect animals or you don't. Either you're against animal exploitation or you're not. All of the excuses that we can find around animal exploitations are used to keep exploiting animals. There's no other, there's nothing to be added for me.
Yeah, that's a totally
All
great
right.
point. I'm sorry,
All right.
Al.
So yeah.
You cut out a little bit. I didn't get the last part of what you were saying.
Oh yeah. Sorry about that. My mic was a little acting out. What was the last thing that you heard?
I think you said something like you're okay with small farms. So I mean,
Yeah.
we could start there. Like, if it's unnecessary for us to like use them on a small scale, do you think we should keep doing it? Do you think it's permissible?
I guess it depends on what angle you want to take it. Take it with. If
Oh, I think your mic's cutting out again.
Just for me to understand, can I come in and anytime and say
Yeah,
something?
absolutely. Yeah,
All right.
don't feel bad about interrupting at all.
Okay, so just want to make a point that you were just saying about exploitation. Exploitation, the definition of exploitation says that when you exploit someone, you use that someone for your own personal benefit. So if you are in a big farm or a small farm, you're using someone for your own benefit. So you're exploiting that someone. And the focus changes a lot if we put ourselves in the victim's position. If we are the victim of an injustice like the animals are, of the biggest Holocaust, the biggest injustice ever happened on the planet, if we put ourselves in that position, we wouldn't accept that. We wouldn't accept to be in a smallest farm. We wouldn't accept to be exploited less. We wouldn't accept that our throat was going to be cut. We wouldn't accept any of this. Because when we are the victims of an injustice, it changes a lot our perspective. Would you agree with this?
100%. 100%, Tano. Great point.
So I would like to know how he feels about this.
Yeah, I think like the conversation was going well. I think his mic was, or his internet or something was just acting
I
up.
think it was outside somewhere.
Yeah. But yeah, I would have tried to make like similar points after we established what we mean by small farms, and then I would have made
and also he was talking about the definition of veganism. The definition of veganism is that is an ethical principle by which humans should not exploit other animals for their meat, their dairy, their eggs, their skin, or any other purpose. That's the original definition from 1955 of veganism.
Yep.
We can find any other, definitions around, but the only true definition is this one. So the humans should not exploit other animals. And when I say other animals, it's because we are animals ourselves.
100%.
We're on the same page there. That's great. That's great to hear.
Well, we don't have any more guest requests.
What do you want to do?
I'm not sure. Wish we could get another guest. Like vibing with the conversations right now.
Please share the live if you're watching this, so we can get someone else on board and talk about how to truly respect animals. Because there's only one way, and it's by going vegan.
True.
Possible.
Big facts.
We can talk about smaller tanks. We can talk about the nicest farm, but the animals are still going to be exploited. They're being exploited right now, in this very moment, every second. So the only thing we can do is going vegan and speak up for the animals, because being a vegan is not enough. You have to be an active vegan and speak up for the animals. Be the voice for the animals. Raise your voice to be the voice for the animals, because they cannot raise their voices. Their voices are unheard.
Yeah, and if our voices were in their same position and they were just being not heard, we would want somebody else to speak up for us.
Exactly. That's what I always say when we do outreaches. When people, sometimes I'm sure if you've done outreaches yourself, I'm sure they told you these things. They said you're aggressive, and you are telling them, you're making them feel guilty. And I always say, I'm not aggressive. I'm defending the animals just the same way that you would want me to defend you if you were in your victim's position. And when you say that, they say yes.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, there was a guest who I had on earlier, and they were being a little bit abrasive about the conversation. And I should have made a point like that. Like, if they were in the animal's position, would they want me to talk like this, or would they want me to be even more aggressive about it? Like, kind of get them to put themselves in the victim's shoes a little bit more.
Were you talking about the girl that was on before?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Always make non-vegans accountable for their own actions. That's a great thing that you can do.
Yeah, I mean, making them aware of the accountability is important, but I also want them to understand why the accountability is important. Because if they're only faced with the accountability portion, it can make them defensive, and they won't understand why, and that'll make them even more defensive. So if they understand why, it can really help them understand why they shouldn't be defensive about this, and they probably agree with it.
How would you approach it then?
Yeah, like kind of just like how you said, like, if we think about this logically, like, if you didn't choose to be born a human, you could have randomly been born as one of those non-human animals who are being exploited, and like, just trying to get them to put themselves in their shoes and seeing how they feel about that, basically. And then hopefully that's where the connection for why this conversation is happening would click with them.
Yeah. But for me, making them accountable is critical. It's
For
a
sure.
critical point.
Mm-hmm.
When you are, I don't want to repeat myself, but when you are a victim of an injustice, there's nothing that they can tell you rather than, I'm going to stop oppressing you, I'm going to stop exploiting you, that you want to hear. So
Definitely.
and if they are defensive and they close up, sometimes that's up to you, because every one of us has got their own style on how to outreach outreach to people and how to talk to people, but um, for me personally, from my experience, if the person starts getting defensive, it means that they're not open. So you rather speak to someone open that is going vegan and not waste too much time on someone that is closed. Like
Yeah.
the guy that was on earlier, the 19 years old guy, he was not gonna go vegan. After 2 minutes of listening him talking, I knew that he was not gonna go vegan, and he was not gonna, give arguments pro veganism.
Well, he was making some pro-vegan arguments. He was saying
Yeah, but at the end, he was not gonna go vegan. So it doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, to
well,
me.
he might not go right now, but in the future, tomorrow he might think about this a little bit harder because
Yeah,
he'll have a little
yeah.
bit more time to process these thoughts. And then over time he'll be like more inclined to think about it, even possibly critically and think, wow, like maybe I should make a change. So we don't have to think about, oh, well, if they go vegan today or not. All we have to really think about is just bringing awareness to the injustice and planting seeds.
Yeah, well, my style is not to plant seeds because um, even if I make people accountable and they're not open and I stop talking to them, the seed is being planted already. Even if I don't talk, even if I don't talk to them for like an hour, the seed is there, and the fact that I'm making people accountable and I'm asking them to go vegan straight away is because this is a very urgent matter. It's very urgent, and
Yeah.
animals are being slaughtered, are being slaughtered every second, every day, every week, and now that we're approaching holiday, there are going to be even more, exploitations. So we
Yeah.
need to outreach even harder because of this. So I used to be that style that you're talking about, to plant the seed, but not anymore. I'm more direct, and because they're gonna think about it anyway, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the whole point. I just want them to think about it because if they don't think about it and, they just keep putting up the walls and the barriers, well, that's not going to help the animals. So I do want
No.
them to think about it. And however I can get them to think about it, I'm okay with kind of working towards that.
Okay. So at this very moment, you're doing activism, or you're not?
Yeah, I would say this is activism.
Okay. All right. Just online or in person as well.
Like I'll have the conversations with people who want to talk about it, like if they're interested or if it comes up um in conversation or something. I'm like definitely down to talk about it. But I usually only like try to outreach like myself, like online basically.
Okay. I'm just new to this online outreach thing. I'm gonna start very soon.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because you get like a whole bunch of different types of people. A lot of people are like really dishonest, and I would say those are the type of closed off people that I really don't like wasting time on.
Mm.
But some people are closed off, but they just have like a lot of cognitive dissonance, and you kind of have to like do some reverse psychology on them to like get them to appreciate the point you're trying to make. And then sometimes they'll actually come around even though they seem like really closed off. They just like have a lot of cognitive dissonance. And then you get those type of people who are just really open to having the conversation and haven't thought about it before, and they like really understand it the first time around, and it's like really simple and easy to have the conversation. So there's like a whole mix of different
Yeah,
people.
it's like in real life, basically.
Yeah.
You have a bit of everything. So no guests.
No guests.
All right. Shall we? I don't know. Are you gonna end? or you're gonna keep it on?
I'm gonna keep it running for a little bit. I'm gonna play some music in the background until we get a guest.
All right. I can't wait.
Or if you wanna talk about anything, we can also talk about stuff too.
Yeah, sure. So, what groups did you say that you were joining and to doing outreach?
Like I just have like some online communities that I do outreach with, but I've actually so I do have this like vegan friend group IRL that I found, and some of them are like in-person activists and they do direct action, and I've kind of been interested in like finding out more about that and like possibly getting involved. So I'm gonna try to contact them and get a little bit more information.
Well, I don't know. I don't know exactly where you are, but for sure there's gonna be Anonymous near you. I don't know if you're familiar with Anonymous for the Voiceless.
I've only heard of them, but I actually don't know too much about them.
Well, some people don't like us because we are pretty, let's say, straightforward. We don't beat around the bush too much.
Mm-hmm.
That's our style. We make people accountable, as I was as is my style. So we outreach to people, and we in real life, and we don't do it for longer than 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
But some people don't like it because we are too strict. I know because I'm in Barcelona, Spain, and we have other groups, and I work with other groups as well, and I know the people that don't come to AV is because of that. It's because it's too strict and they don't like it, and they want to talk about nutrition, they want to talk about food for thoughts and all these sort of things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I see. I'm very sympathetic to what you're saying because I like to be very direct and I like to just like get to the like heart of where we might disagree and like really flesh that out, like why we disagree, what are the like reasons for why we disagree, those kinds of things. And I used to be like a lot more like, okay, here, like let's just like focus, let's just like keep, straight on the conversation. But it's also kind of easy to be direct with people and let that, kind of be polite to them as well. I used to not be as polite as I am now, but yeah, I try to just be as polite as I can while still
Of course,
being
of
direct
course.
to like what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not talking about being unpolite. I'm talking about, going straight to the core of the issue and talk about it and make people accountable, which is not being unpolite or rude or, whatever you're going to call it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Some people might perceive it that way, which, as I told you, in real life, I get that a lot. Like, oh, you're calling me, you're making me feel guilty, they say a lot of times. And my response is, I'm not doing anything. I'm not responsible for your actions. If you feel guilty, it's because I'm telling the truth. And if you feel guilty, then maybe you should reconsider what you do and align. Because lots of people, well, I would say 99.9% of people that I talk to, they say they respect animals, and they say that animals deserve respect, but they're not vegan.
Right.
So when I reach the point where I say, you're being a hypocrite and you're contradicting yourself or stuff like this, they get defensive sometimes, and they say, oh, but now you're telling me like I'm an hypocrite and I'm not, or you're making me feeling guilty, or you're saying that I'm an abuser, I'm an oppressor. And I say, yes, you're an abuser and oppressor of animals. You're abusing animals, you're oppressing animals. Do you want to call it something else? We can call it something else. That won't change the reality, which is that you are exploiting other sentient beings for your own benefit, for your own purpose.
Yep, 100%.
So more or less, we are on the same page.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I was never, let's say, rude, quote unquote. Back in the days, I didn't know how to respond to people when they ask me questions, because I've been a vegan 13 years. I wasn't the vegan that I was 13 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 7 years ago. You change, you learn, and you learn how to talk to people as well.
Definitely. I've learned so much about how to communicate from just talking to people all the time, which I guess makes sense.
Do you know Gary Yoski?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, basically, I went vegan because of the best speech you've ever heard. The one that
Yeah.
is on YouTube, the very old one.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's really
When
good.
I watched that, that was the click I made into my mind.
Yeah, he delivers that speech really well.
Yeah, and also I watched lately a little bit of what's his name, the English guy, Earthling Ed.
Oh yeah, that was the reason why I went vegan. It's because I
Okay.
watched a whole bunch of his videos.
All right. So you know him. You read all these books.
I haven't read his books, but I've just watched a lot of his content on YouTube.
Okay. That I can see the style similar. I don't know if it's on purpose, but
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's actually really nice.
yeah, very calm. Very polite.
Yeah, because I mean, like this conversation it's something that like makes people really defensive, like even if you are being calm sometimes. So
Yeah, of
I
course.
don't want to make it any worse than it has to be a lot of the time. So I do just try to remain like really chill about it.
Yeah. But you got you got all sort of different profiles.
Mm-hmm.
The other couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks or 2 weeks ago, I was doing outreach where I normally do in the center of Barcelona, and I was talking to a guy very young, like I don't know, 18 or something like this, and he was with some other friends, and the friends just walked past, and he stopped and he started talking to me, and I was talking to him. And then at some point, the group came back, and then a little bit, and then one guy from the group just came towards us and said, "Stop talking to my friend. You're brainwashing him. Stop saying what you're saying. Let's go. Don't listen to him," referring to me. And he got really aggressive, and he actually threatened me that he was gonna hit me at some point
Gosh.
if I didn't stop talking to his friend. Yeah,
He
yeah,
has
yeah.
like so little faith in his friend that his friend like can't think for himself at all as well.
As
It's
well,
like kind of
yes.
insulting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But thinking that I was brainwashing him,
Yeah,
he thinks very little of his friend. Like,
exactly. It's
it's
like, is your
amazing.
friend that gullible that they'll just like believe anything or something? Like they probably don't think of their friend like that, but
No.
they're like it's the truth is they're the ones who's defensive about the
I think
conversation.
the one that came back, he was the one, the more scared about the whole situation.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He was the one that maybe he was the most reachable. Maybe he felt the most guilt, knowing what means exploiting animals.
Definitely.
And so where you live, there's a big vegan community, or
Well, I don't know about big, but there is like a small vegan community where I am. So yeah, it is nice to like not be in like a completely isolated area because like I live in kind of a big city in Texas, so
okay.
it is like kind of easy to find like vegan restaurants, vegan food, vegan people. So I am really fortunate in that way.
But Texas is a veggie friendly state in general,
I
or
don't know about all
no?
that.
I wouldn't have said so. I wouldn't have said so.
Yeah, I don't think it really is, honestly. I
I
mean,
would
they
say the
like grow
opposite, to be
vegetables,
honest.
but sorry.
Sorry, so what do you say?
They like grow vegetables and stuff, but I don't think they're like Texas isn't really concerned with ethics in a lot of ways. Like our politicians like don't even care about the people. Like Ted Cruz, for example, I think it was like 2 years ago there was a freeze in Texas, and during like right before the freeze happened, he just like took a vacation to Cancun.
Yeah.
So yeah,
He's he's a politician in Texas.
yeah, he's a state senator.
Oh, okay. Did he run for president at some point?
I think he was.
Like a few years ago.
Yeah, I think he did run,
Hmm.
although he didn't get much traction at all. Hey, Lydia.
Hey, not surprised. Can you come up on the panel, please? Because you're really trying to pinpoint veganism to be consuming humans and you're being silly. Come up on the panel.
He's saying
Sorry, they were just
veganism.
annoying me. They aren't logically understanding self-defense and survival situations.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I can't send them an invite to come up, but you can request not surprised if you're still here. Looks like they might have left.
I think they have a private account.
I see.
But they could have also ran.
Oh,
You
no.
can't talk, you're in your office. Well, go back to work. Why are you here arguing me about survival cannibalism when you're working?
Yeah, you can just make the point if you want to, real quick, because clearly he's like listening, like very intently. So if he can't talk, you might as well just listen.
Because my argument is yes, it's immoral to unalive or consume other humans, but it's justified in extreme situations where you could unalive yourself if you don't do it. No, veganism doesn't promote cannibalism. It's actually the farthest from normalizing cannibalism you could get.
Oh my God.
Is veganism promote cannibalism? I'll have to think about that one.
Hello,
Hi, could we get your age?
I'm 28.
Okay, cool. Did you want to talk about one of the prompts?
Yes and no. I just wanted to ask the questions also. Is that okay with you guys?
Sure. What's your question?
I'm looking to purchase vitamins and I'm just thinking to myself, like fruit and vegetable vitamins and stuff like that. I do have vitamins I'm taking right now, which is helping with my body. And I wanted to ask, is there such thing as I heard, but I'm not sure, vegan vitamins, are they more effective or is it more effective to get like natural brand vitamins or the store brand one? I don't think there's a difference though.
I don't know too much about vitamins. Like Lydia might have a better answer for you on that one, honestly. If you're here, Lydia.
Which vitamins?
I'm thinking about getting fruit and vegetable vitamins, but I just wanted to I already have vitamins on that I'm taking right now, but I'm thinking about like getting other vitamins. I'm trying to like improve my body, but I wanted to know because I'm not sure, but does some of the vitamins also test on animals? Because I was doing my research and I just didn't realize there's so many company out here who does testing on animals that we use regular basic.
Yeah, you can actually find specific companies that do produce vitamins that aren't tested on animals, and they're cruelty free, so they're not tested, they're not made of animal products. Let me get you the brand that I use. Hold on.
Okay.
So I use Complement Essential. So this will have your B12, K2, D3, zinc, your omega-3 fatty acids, magnesium, iodine, selenium. So I would say that's like a really good basic vitamin to take. It's called Complement Essential.
Can you just type it in the comments, please? So I
Yes,
can
for
just
sure.
look
One
it up.
sec.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I was thinking about because I do enjoy. I'm not gonna lie, I do enjoy eating meat. But after seeing reviews and watching videos and the stores, how the meats are produced and how sometimes they have fungus and God, I'm gonna start throwing up, stuff like that on it. But then I think about like the free range chickens and stuff like that, and I think about the non-chemical animals out here. And I'm thinking of I also start taking mushrooms um like um from the farmer markets, I would say, but I'm not consistent with that. I just like started like last week, I would say. um so I'm learning to like I'm thinking about veganism or the other vegetarianism. um but I'm thinking about the proteins also because I do want to build my muscles, and I'm thinking about like living longer depending on your genes also.
Yeah, I mean, there are studies that suggest you can survive and thrive on a plant based diet. You can get all your vitamins, nutrients, minerals, and proteins from a plant based diet. And, like, most importantly, we would draw attention to the fact that the way we produce like foods for plant based diet, we don't exploit animals. So we're really trying to focus on the ethical concerns that come with animal agriculture and agriculture in general. We would just look for more ethical means.
Yeah, but also at the same time too, if you look at the history of like cavemen, as I know we're not answers are normal because our body have grown, we lost some wisdom teeth and stuff like that. Our mind is much bigger than our body. Our teeth are much smaller than what we grew up with in the ancestor of the cavemen and stuff like that, or cave people. um so I wanted to ask, um, do you think that like eating meat um is like necessary sometimes? Because I heard it is something about like the proteins that you get and stuff like that, which is like also part of nature. So it's very confusing misinformation because I did see a lot of vegan videos and people who do TikToks on it, but they aren't very sufficient on it, if you know what I mean. They're just debating with angers and just unknowledgeable, to be honest, and stupidity.
Well, the things you just mentioned, like the fact that it happens in nature and like our ancestors have done it, I don't think that's really relevant to the ethical conversation at hand right now because we have alternatives that can sustain us. And the majority of the population can absolutely live and thrive on a plant based diet. So that's kind of like the main point I would just try to get you to appreciate.
Yeah, I understand that part, but I really don't understand it at the same time because I guess for me, I grew up eating meat, and I don't know, like the nutrition and how the church would say like, oh, you like, you know the church, the triangle church,
Wait,
where
but
it's
it sounds like you're kind of making the same point, like respectfully. It sounds like
yeah.
you're just kind of reiterating the same point we just went over. Like, yeah, sure, you could get some nutrition from exploiting animals and eating them, but we have alternatives, so we really don't need to do that.
Okay, can you tell me the alternative so I can like get like how do I start? In other words,
You should check out veganeasy.org. So it's just going to be like a plant-based or a team of plant-based dietitians that will help you
yeah.
make the switch to a plant-based diet,
Can
basically.
you
And
put it in the
they'll
comments? Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, here, let me
Yeah, because I like to when you put in the comments, it just reminds me too.
veganeasy.org. Yeah, so you should definitely check out that. And yeah, so they'll help you like figure out the plant-based diet. If you want some like quick like alternatives to something like protein, you could check out like seitan, tofu, lentils. Like a lot of those the alternatives that I'll probably name, you probably already eat a lot, like beans, rice. Um, I don't know if you eat tofu, but you could also eat like tempeh, things like that. So there's definitely a lot of alternatives, and we're definitely trying to help people become more aware of those alternatives because then we don't have to exploit animals.
Yeah, I feel like animals have gone extinct because of our hunting habits, and I have seen I think in UK, there would be this fox, and the dogs would go after it to chase it and unalive it, which is very crazy. It was very traumatic too. Sorry, I like to yeah, I'm gonna go look into the website right now. But tell me about like the tofu and stuff like that. I did try tofu a long time ago, but like I said, I just started. Like, do you think like with if you make a salad, can you put like tofu on it, beets, um, you know, natural fruit and vegetable on it, and would that like give you like a high grain protein?
Yeah, definitely. And tofu is actually a complete protein.
Mm-hmm.
I would also recommend, like, I don't know how you make your food, but I would recommend, like, frying the tofu or seasoning it too so that it's like tasty when you put it in your salad. But yeah, that's basically, yeah, it's a perfect alternative because it is a complete protein.
Yeah, is there no such thing as a vegan store though? Um,
I mean, there are like small businesses that are completely vegan, if that's what you mean.
yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to look into, especially like my location. Um, I because I wanted to, because I think they're more better than going to like the stores, like the the big stores. And I think the big stores, they sometimes hide those food, which is like sometimes really bad for you.
Yeah. Um, sorry, I didn't quite understand everything you were trying to say.
Sorry, I meant like how sometimes like the big stores, when they sell food, sometimes like I said, they are very unhealthy because they just hide it. Like what do you call it? Some of them, I think they're like generic, or like out for a long time, stuff like that. Like they don't really care about the customer. They just wanted to make profit out of it. But with small business, I feel like they're more caring.
Yeah, I mean, that could be true. I would just say, like, if you're gonna buy from a store, like a big corporation, like, I don't know, like Kroger or Walmart or something like that, just like buy like fresh produce and buy like things that are like meant to last a long time when they're dried, like beans, legumes, rice, um, yeah, things like that. Basically, dried veggies is also a good one. Um, dried fruit, those types of things will last a long time. And then yeah, you can just like buy fresh produce all the time. I'm sure you probably already do that a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, like how for the I was looking into this stuff. I saw that like the fried fruits, are they really healthy though? I thought they had like a lot of sugar on it to make it like dry and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, whether or not, yeah, something is healthy kind of depends on like how you cook it, what you season it with. So like I guess like raw tofu might be like mildly more healthy than like fried tofu, but at the same time you're still like getting the same amount of protein. It might be a little bit unhealthier because you're eating like fried stuff, but ultimately we're not really like trying to advocate for people to be healthier. Like yeah, there are options for you to be healthy, like super healthy or extra healthy or whatever, but we're more so focused on like the ethics, and it's okay to be an unhealthy vegan, um as long as you're like planning your diet well enough so that you'll like survive and thrive. But yeah, like I I don't like eat the healthiest either. Like I kind of like, but I wasn't eating the healthiest before I was vegan either, like health isn't like my biggest concern. What's more concerning to me is like ethics. But you can definitely like be healthy on a plant-based diet for sure, like very easily.
Okay, I'm gonna look into it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And if you have any other questions, feel free to come back another time.
No problem. Have a good day.
You too. Dang, Nicole, you've been vegan for 23 years. That's insane. Congratulations.
I love to find more vegan moms in the wild.
Exactly. I found Nicole last night. I've met 2 or 3 new vegans in the span of like the last 10 hours. So that's been really cool.
Loaded quesadillas currently. I'm very hungry, so I might be quiet for a bit.
Oh, that sounds delish. I think I might end it because that was a really good conversation, and I kind of want to go focus on some other stuff right now. So thank you guys for coming up. It was good to meet you, Tano.
Good to meet you too.
And thank
Bye,
you
we'll see you
for,
later.
yeah,
Bye.
bye.